What's going on? Back with another edition of the Atl Style live podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Leo G. Out there to the south side, I got my boy Banks. What's going on with your Banks?
Hey, what's going on, Leo? Leo, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on, folks out there, internet land? How y'all feeling?
Man, we feeling all right. We got to get into it, man. A lot to talk about, a lot to digest, man. Of course, it's that time of the year where you got a lot of stuff going on around the league. You got just a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, man, just kind of a high and a low all in one today as we record this show, as we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. What up, fam? Like Banks said, everybody, thanks for tuning in, man. We're going to bring it to you from a fan's perspective. That's what we like to do. Before we get a little too far off into the show, Banks, let everybody know about our boy over there at Eastland.
Yeah, check out my boy at Eastland's Woodworking Company, our boy Phil. He do all your custom work of your woodworking. For example, like this, you can do coasters, you can do ashtrays, you can do plaques on the wall, anything to get that man cave set up. Hit my boy up on that QR code and tell us we sent you.
Absolutely, man. He's going and branched out into doing bigger things as well. He has, some stuff that he's working on, man. Some tables, some whiskey barrel type stuff, man. Probably some rocking chairs. I don't know, man. He do some of it all. We got to get some more pictures of some of his new work to feature up on here, man. So if you're looking for something, you're looking for a unique gift idea, man, he's rolling stuff out over there at Eastlands, man. So definitely hit the QR code, man, and hit him up. Banks, a lot to get into today, man. We're going to get into it. And we'll talk about it here as it goes, man. But listen, you were in the house last night over at State Farm Arena as the Las Vegas Aces took on the Atlanta Dream last night for Barbie night. Let everybody know, man, how that was over there at State Farm Arena for Barbie night with the Atlanta Dream.
Hey, shout out to all my ATL folks out there who showed out and represented at State Farm, sold the place out for Barbie night for Angel Reese. Yeah, we represented pretty big out there. Shout out Derico out there for meeting me out there. It was just good to see a lot of celebs on Gucci Row. At the same time, man, I was just like, man, I got to get out more, especially at State Farm Arena, man. It's like the place was kind of foreign to me. The last time I went there was a concert, and I'm like, man, this place is different. But you know what? The place was packed, place was live. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. Shout out to Atlanta Dream. Although we didn't get the result we wanted, but it was a good outing, to say the least. So,
man, look, I'm mad I didn't get the invite, man. My phone was blowing up, man. I thought y'all must have thought I was at the game. I didn't get an invite or nothing. I'm like, damn, didn't nobody tell me nothing. I'm like, damn,
well,
that's
brother,
how y'all do your boy.
You got to keep your ears on the ground, brother. Barber Night was announced weeks ago. I felt like I had to be in the building for that. So I didn't know Derico was coming. I thought this was something that I was going to do on my own. But when he said he was in the building, we had to, meet up at halftime, do our little ritual thing, and ta-da.
Man, yeah, I guess I don't keep my ear to the street, man, because I didn't know what was going on in the building last night, man. Watched it on TV. Like you said, didn't get the result that we wanted, man. But like you said, man, ATL brings out all the stars, man. So quite a few celebrities in the building for the Dream last night, man. It wasn't without controversy, man. I think our boy Derico was a little upset about the stuff that happens in the ATL on a regular basis, but that's no secret. There's no, Atlanta's going Atlanta. People gonna do what they're gonna do here, man. You can't. I mean, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of standing on that hill. I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired. Hey, man. If people on the front running bandwagon, it's their desire, it's their choice. They spend their money. They can do whatever they want to do. It's just not a good look, man, when you go up against somebody like me that's been a lifelong fan of this. So you know what I'm saying. If you got a closet full of Yankees, Lakers, Duke, Cowboys, whoever, and you want to stand up against me that's been a lifelong ATL fan, man, I'm not going to entertain you at all. I'm not. So
Well, I think it was a little bit different. It was kind of confusing. I don't know what kind of fans were those there. A lot of pink Barbie, Angel Reese jerseys in the building, and rightfully so. It was her night. But it was the Angel Reese, fans that was also pulling for Asia Wilson. I mean, yeah, stars are in the building. You want to see, you want to be entertained, but you're pulling for Angel Wilson with the Angel Reese jersey on. It was confusing. I don't get it. Maybe they wasn't real fans to say they are fan. They just people that who are fans of that individual, and it's a difference. It's a big difference. So hey, you just take it what it is.
Yeah, man. Speaking of such, man, yeah, I heard somebody went to a certain team up in Philadelphia and all of their stuff done sold out since somebody done made their transition from the Lakers to Philly. So I'm not gonna get into the details of that. So yeah, we're in a generation now, Banks, I guess, of you know being a fan of players trumps being a fan of teams. You know what I'm saying? It's the running joke
And
is
and 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 that's just the way the new generation is. It's no real loyalty of a team. You see people become a fan of a team as the season changes. So I mean, it's just that kind of thing we're living in. There's no loyalty anymore. It's not the end thing anymore. If you're a team of a fan, oh, that's rare. But I like this individual. I like Asia Wilson. I like, Angel Reese. I like Caitlin Clark. That's my person, not my team, my person. So I mean, hey, listen, to each his own. If you have at it, you like an individual, go for it.
and I mean
No one's gonna tell you how to be a fan. I mean, just do it, just do
no,
you.
no, we're not going to tell you how to be a fan. Obviously, we're fans as well. It's just I think that there's a difference in the way we receive it. Like I mean, to this day, I'm fans of players all over all of the leagues, right? I mean, I think there's no secret, you know what I'm saying? We've said it before on the show, I mean, big fans of people in the NFL, all the way from Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? Big fan of, what I'm saying, like Bam Adebayo and different players in the NBA and the MLS, and I could go on and on and on. I'm entertained by those people. I'm a fan of them, but when it comes to my team in Las Vegas or they've moved in, their fan bases are still growing, even though they've seen some early success with the WNBA franchise in the Aces and also the Knights, the NHL team. So probably we'll get an NBA team here pretty soon, and we know that the A's will be there as well. So Las Vegas is one of those cities that is still in its infancy when we talk about sports. Because you got to remember, Banks, there's a lot of people from the West Coast, from LA to Phoenix and everywhere else out there that have moved and kind of transplanted into Las Vegas and brought their own allegiances to their teams as well. So we'll see how that ends up. Like I said, it's kind of the same storyline. The Vegas fandom now is what Atlanta fans, how that kind of transpired 20, 30 years ago when we had the migration of people come in and the transplants here to Atlanta. So we'll watch that. Could definitely be fun to watch when we see the A's go out there, man, and do their thing. I think in 2028, if I'm not mistaken, that's when the A's will be cranking it up out there in Vegas.
Yeah, I want well actually 2027 if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. I could be wrong. You might be right, but I do know, when the Braves get out there, and I will be out there in Vegas, catch one of those games in that series to pull for my team. And that goes for any other team that goes out there to Vegas. And I talk about baseball, I'm talking about hockey, I'm talking about football. It seems like it's a hotbed for visiting fans. You watch the Las Vegas, excuse me, the Knights. They are a high-powered NHL team, but when you listen to their arena through the TV, it sounds like they're always the visiting team. So why is that? It's because people come out to Vegas to see their team. So I mean, it's gonna be the same for the Raiders. It's gonna be the same for the A's that get out there, and unfortunately, it's gonna be for the NBA team that forms out there as well. Because who's gonna stop the Knicks fans going out there when New York visit them? Who's gonna stop the Laker fans when the Lakers go out there? Hell, who's gonna stop the Hawks fans from going out there when the Hawks go out there? They played in a tournament a couple of Decembers ago. It was ish load of Hawks fans there. So I
Uh,
mean,
that was
listen,
connected to the
I
Falcons actually
understand. I
playing as
understand.
well.
But at the same time, my point is it's not going to stop other visiting NBA fans to visiting Las Vegas. You're giving people a reason to go out there to have fun and turn up. Oh yeah, and by the way, and pull for your team. So it's just it is what it is for them out there,
I mean,
unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, Vegas is one of those places. I mean, it could be argued. I think some of the younger generations, people that I've talked to that are a little younger than us, like Vegas is not really very appealing to them anymore. And the fact that gambling is now kind of legal everywhere, especially with the sports aspect of it. You can go right on your phone and place bets and do whatever you need to do. I mean, Vegas for us is still going to be Vegas. It's still going to have that feel, but like I said, the landscape of everything has changed. So we'll see how that continues to develop out there in Vegas as they acquire more sports teams. Let's move forward, Banks. Since we talked a little bit about the A's, want to move into baseball just for a second and talk about the Braves here as the trade deadline just passed. A lot of disappointment. I think there were a lot of people that were very disappointed in Double A and what he was able to do at the trade deadline. Didn't make the biggest splash. I think the Dodgers made the biggest splash out of anybody at the trade deadline.
Rotation in Los Angeles that will rival any lineup in the league two times over. No, they're not cheaters. They did it the right way. Unfortunately, Braves could have did the same thing, but they chose not to. Um, I listen, like they said, listen, you can be only being mad, but they Major League Baseball for allowing, that rule to be out there to where there's, you got a work stoppage coming up next off season, probably most likely going to end up happening because of this off season, this trade deadline. And here we go. They're talking about a salary cap for baseball, and why not? I mean, but you got teams like the Milwaukee Brewers, you have teams like Tampa Bay Rays, you have teams like the Atlanta Braves who are sitting there who could do the same thing to kind of stop the Dodgers from doing this, and you chose not to. Oh, and by the way, the Braves just sitting on their hands. You're picking up what uh, toilet paper and keys for for what? I mean, you got guys on your roster already who are better than what you just picked up. So I don't understand what Double A is doing. Do you want to advance past the NLDS? I don't know. I mean, we really want to make a run at this. It's like someone said, it seems like he's just caught up under that 2021 World Series and he's content with it. You can't play like that. Like they said, scared money don't make money. Dodgers proving it every single day. They spending money on top of hand of the fist, and they getting championships.
A
And
lot of
what
moving
can you what
pieces.
can you say? What can you say
Lot,
about them? They doing their
lot,
thing.
lot of moving pieces, man. Obviously, the Braves are owned by Liberty Media, and they might be, you know, 2021, yeah. Double A caught lightning in the bottle. He was able to bring in some quality people right at the trade deadline that took us over the top. Even in 2023, when we had probably one of the best offenses we've ever had, I mean, they really didn't do much to acquire anybody or anything at the trade deadline. And we saw how that kind of played out. I don't know, man. Montre says the Dodgers cheat. I don't know. It seems like the rich do get richer. Obviously, this is a rich man sport. When you talk about baseball, like you just said, Banks, no salary cap. Dodgers don't mind spending money. We saw this back in the day with the Yankees, the Red Sox. Everybody likes to spend money. The Braves not being a single owner entity, actually being owned by Liberty Media. I don't know how hamstrung they are with money when it comes to like opening up the bank to pay players. And like you said, man, it'll be interesting to watch next season if we get to a work stoppage and they have to do this whole thing where they are talking about implementing a some type of player cap in Major League Baseball. But it'll be interesting nonetheless. Like I said, a lot of fans were a little upset in their feelings, as well they should be. I mean, hey, you want to see the Braves are the constant team here that have a championship and they prove themselves year in and year out, and you want to see them go over the hump. I mean, you see teams like the Dodgers, you know what I'm saying? They reload. They don't, they reload every year to try to take it to the top. And it's like the Braves just don't do the same thing to match that energy. So we'll see, man. I mean, I think that Braves are in a prime position to win the division, and we'll see how it works out moving forward here as we go on into the middle of August and late September, getting set up for the playoffs, man. So
I mean,
we'll see how it goes.
I think I take the sentiments of a lot of fans out there. We just wish that Double A just would have took something just to say that I'm really trying to swing for the fences, instead of just sitting there like, oh well, We're the Braves. We'll be there. I mean, it's just that attitude. It's two different attitudes, and I think what we're seeing from the Dodgers versus the Braves is the Dodgers want it. And they showing you, even if they strike out without winning the World Series this year, they at least they tried. And like I said, we as Braves, yes, we can't just settle for what we did in the past. We have to go for it every single year, and Double A doesn't do that. And I think, like you said earlier, when he caught lightning in the bottle, and it seemed like it's just, I've done it before. It can happen again. And, I don't know, dude. I just feel like there's a lot of disappointment all around, all around.
Well, I mean, hey, look, if the Braves end up bringing another trophy here to the city, nobody, we won't even have this conversation. We'll be praising Double A like we did in 2021. I mean, is it far fetched? Probably, possibly a little bit, like you said, with the state of the starting pitching. That's a big concern, obviously, for a lot of Braves fans. But if they find a way to get in there and get it done and get through the National League and get to the World Series, all bets are off at that point if you get to the World Series. So, like I said, offensively they're decent, and I think they can rival pretty much anybody in the national. Like I said, you step it up against the Dodgers, who if you get all the way, I'm pretty sure that's probably be who you'll end up facing in the East. So, I mean, I'm sorry, in the World Series. My apologies, not the East, in the World Series. The Dodgers look to be the perennial powerhouse over there in the West. Even though there's some strong teams over in the West, I think, like you said, the Dodgers just put themselves out in the front by upping the game with their starting pitching. Listen, Banks, we're gonna kind of move it forward. I know it's quick, but we got a lot to get into, man. We're gonna move over to the other side of the ball, over there in Flowery Branch with the Falcons. Big news today on kind of both ends of the spectrum, but we'll get into the big news first. And there's a lot to talk about and digest because I've had several conversations with people about what this means for the franchise moving forward. But today we learned that Bijan Robinson now is the highest paid running back in NFL history. For now, he just signed a 3-year extension worth $75 million. He was doing some type of a hold in or whatever, only about 6 or 7 days in camp. Knew that this was probably going to get done as we saw everybody else's extension. Some of the, of course, different positions, but there was another number 7 here that was electrifying and that the fans loved. I think Bijan brings that same energy and that same tempo to the team. So I think that it was a no-brainer that, you say, hey, you lock this guy up with the core that you already have with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, even though we're still absent of a franchise quarterback. But you still have 3 proven guys, 3 solid guys, with one questionable person, I guess, on the front that hasn't really proved himself, but we'll see how that works out this year. But like you said, Banks, I think with the body of work that Bijan has presented, he was $75 million, I think, 3-year deal, 3-year extension was well deserved. Now, here's the other side of that coin, Banks, and I want to get your opinion on this. It was brought to my attention by a couple of folks. Shout out my boy Stokes, man, that, is this really how you build a championship organization? And let me go into detail to explain this. There's a sentiment around the league that, you don't pay running backs. Running backs are a dime a dozen, and you don't pay running backs. Seattle, they didn't pay Kenneth Walker after he was the MVP after, they won the Super Bowl. And there's been other running backs that have walked, and there have been other teams that have been very, very successful with running back by committee. So with that being said, and I'll get into the second part of the equation after you talk about this, Banks, do you feel as an organization that the Falcons, they did their due diligence by Bijan, but is this, I guess, a mark of them wanting to become a championship team, and this is the way they feel like they need to do it by locking Bijan up? Or do you think that the Falcons, front office is still not very good at making these type of decisions when it comes to paying players?
That's kind of hard. I think in the Falcons case, they are sitting there, with a situation where who are you paying on your team? You don't have a quarterback. So, I mean, I know that's not an excuse to pay a running back. And I see Stacy out there say you don't pay running backs. Well, in this case, I think you do. I think you do pay this running back because he is what this Falcons is. That's all we have at the moment. Who fault is that? It's not his. But at the same time, I mean, what are you gonna do? You just gonna let him play out his rookie contract and let him walk? I mean, what are we doing here? It's not our fault that we built the team the way we did. We're sitting here wondering.
um, it's not like we were in a position where we were paying just overextended, or we had a franchise quarterback where we tied a lot of our money up, like i.e. Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. Um, I think Bijan will continue to give you the production that you need to be successful offensively. I don't care who's under center. I mean, he's somebody that you want on your team, and I feel like the Falcons felt that way, and they moving forward, they want him to be a part of whatever situation. And I know a lot of fans, there's going to be a lot of fans on the fence about it, man. I mean, because the thing is, it's like this here. I think there's especially with this fan base, being is that we're almost 9 years removed from going to the playoffs. It's like, okay, you're paying all this money to these people. You paid Kyle Pitts, you paid Drake London, and you paid Bijan. Are we going to the playoffs as is with the money that you just spent, right? And that's where I think a lot of people are, as opposed to saying, hey, yeah, you just let this whole thing with Bijan play out. If we don't go to the playoffs, or we don't get anywhere remotely close to the Super Bowl, then it is what it is. We reset it. We start all over again and get a run of the mill running, some type of run of the mill running back or running back by committee situation, when he's gone, and you do let him walk and go somewhere and possibly to a team that's fit and ready to win a championship.
Well, I mean that's the case. Then I mean I hear a lot of different opinions on both sides of the fences. About building how to build this team and everything. I think at this point, you can't go back in time. So you have to do what you got to do, go forward. What we got right now is what we got. And then we just have to just roll with the punches at this point. I mean, what are you going to do now? I mean, you got Bijan locked up. I mean, play him. You gonna run him to the run till he can't run anymore. I mean, at that point, you just can't sit there and be like, how we gonna spend our money on the next individual athlete that comes to Atlanta. We don't know who that person is. We got 3 players on this roster that just got paid and got extended. I don't agree with one of them, but 2 of them got their money, and here we go. So, I mean, what can you do at this point?
I mean, yeah, Derico says that Seattle did it the right way. They used the running back to win a championship, and they said, "Well, off you go. We're not going to pay you anything." And I think, like I said, I think that's most fans. The sentiment now is, you use people, or you use, it's a business. You use people to do what you can and to win a championship. That's the end game. I think nobody really cares anymore about, especially at this point with the Falcons. We don't have anybody really that's the marquee player. Well, it is now with Bijan. I think people don't care about that, especially this fan base. They don't feel like it makes business sense to put all this money in stocking players when we haven't won a playoff game in 10 years, and we nowhere near sniff a Super Bowl. The money needs to be pooled to be able to pay collectively, free agents and what we need, as we see fit, especially like Derico said, in the trenches and in other places. So, like I said, I think the fan base is kind of on the fence. I personally think that, the money that Bijan was paid was well deserved. Whether it was going to be here or somewhere else, he was going to get it. You know what I'm saying? And the Falcons decided to pull the trigger and pay him, what they felt that he was worth. And, that's probably fair market. As of right now, he is the highest paid running back Banks. But as we know how this works, it will be short-lived. Somebody else will say, hold my beer. And whether it's Jahmyr Gibbs or Jonathan Taylor, I think up in Indianapolis, they're going to have something to say about it, and they're going to probably make their guy. Or we could see them do what Seattle did. We could see the Colts and we could see the Lions do the same thing Seattle did. Say, hey, you know what? We'll let this play out, and if it doesn't play out the way we want it, you can walk and go somewhere else too. So it'll be interesting to see how that works with both the Colts, I think, because I think those 2 running backs are probably the next ones up. When you agree?
Well, definitely Jahmyr Gibbs. They were both holding in together. I didn't know about Jonathan Taylor. That was new to me. Is he up for a new contract or extension?
I'm assuming that we're seeing how much Bijan just got paid and where we'll probably go with Jahmyr Gibbs if and when he gets paid here momentarily. That he will probably be the next running back that will command a high dollar. I'm not for sure where he is in his contract as of right now. But I mean, he's in the top echelon and running backs. I mean, the other running backs I think have already got, you talk about Christian McCaffrey, Achon down there in Miami. He just got paid. Obviously, Saquon Barkley got paid. I think the next, Derrick Henry up in, when he went over to Baltimore, obviously they gave him some money. So I think that, between Gibbs and I want to say, Taylor, those are the next guys up that are going to command a big payday for what they do for their team.
And I'm gonna say this: all the ones that you just said has got extended, has got paid. Those teams did not have a problem playing their players, but guess what? They already established. They were already winning their games. I think when fans or the Falcons, we haven't done anything, and I think it's like we got bigger fish to fry. Worried about how we gonna win, a game, win a division or try to get to the playoffs after 9 years. And I get it totally, but at the same time, we got to do something of getting some kind of core here. We don't even have a core. We're talking about moving forward. How we going to win?
So, do you think Seattle would have paid him the money that he deserved? We don't know. I think that they would, and that's just my personal opinion.
I believe so. For what he's been doing, how he's been showing out his skill set. How can you not pay him? I feel like we don't know what will be what. You know what I'm saying? What team will do what? But you just said that when those past running backs got their payday, Philadelphia paid Barkley, they didn't hesitate. Why? Why they didn't let him walk? You know what I'm saying? They don't need him, do they? Well, obviously they do because, you know, he was part of that Super Bowl run. So hey, and I feel like if Atlanta was a tad bit more successful, I hate to say it, but it wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be an issue if Falcons have been just a little bit more consistent of winning. And
Yeah.
that's my opinion. So
Yeah, I think that's what it is, man. It's not been it's been rough here with this organization over the last several years. So I think that every decision that this organization makes is going to be under a lot more scrutiny, right? I think that this is going to be it, man. Until they find a successful formula and we can get back to winning, then I think the fans won't be as they won't be as critical of this organization. So hopefully, like I said, man, we can get back to that. I don't know when that's going to be. If it's going to be this season, next season, 5 seasons from now, I don't know. But we've locked them up. We got a core here now. It's like you said, Banks trying to find somebody under center that's going to be able to deliver with the people that we have on the offensive side of the ball. Speaking of offense, now I want to move over to the defense here, man, because just got some news today. That's it's kind of tough pill to swallow. Jalen Walker today, 11 on 11, was carted off the field. And preliminary reports is that this might be a ending injury. There are reports coming out that ACL might be torn. We won't know that probably until later on this evening or sometime tomorrow about his condition. Banks, we talked about Jalen Walker and his ceiling on the last podcast and what we thought he could bring to this defense, man. He could be the X factor for this defense. Now, with the uncertainty around that, and also with the uncertainty around, us possibly losing James Pierce Jr. For several games, this defense now becomes uncertain. Even though there are some bright spots with some young players, and I think that we're not. This isn't the sky is falling type situation. It's unfortunate with Jalen if this is a season-ending injury because, like we said, the ceiling was so high. But those are the reports coming out of Flowery Branch that this might be a season-ending injury for Jalen Walker today in practice.
yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's typical training camp news that you don't want to hear. And unfortunately, man, that's football. That's what you got to deal with sometimes. And, we have the good reports out of camp, but then you also got some bad reports, and that was the bad report we got today. And it's kind of a 1-2 punch because it was a good punch on the right end with the Bijan news, and then not even like you blink your eye, and then here's the news about Jalen Walker, and it's like, damn, you gotta feel good, feel bad kind of moment, and it's like, damn, how do you even take that? It's unfortunate, man. Like I said, I don't know what to think at this point. A lot of doomers out there saying, well, it was a good season, on to next. Um, I'm not ready to say that. I mean, for all the guys that Ian Cunningham had brought in, he brought in depth, and as you can see with the free agency that we brought in, so we got to see what these new guys gonna do. You know, I'm seeing that one man falls, another man excel. Braylon Trice is turning heads from what I'm hearing. So we gonna see. We are going to see. What I'm saying, I'm not ready to put a fork in this season yet, but I look at it like it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. It's kind of a punch in the gut. Kind of feel just like damn. We can't even get to our first preseason game, and we got bad news already. So. mm,
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, man. Like you said, though, this is where other players have an opportunity to step up. I mean, we brought in Harold Perkins in the draft. I think that, that's going to be probably one of the steals of the draft. Banks, we talked about this when we drafted the young man, how, his career started so promising at LSU. And I think due to an injury, he kind of fell off. But we saw like his motor and what he could be able, what he could bring, in college there at LSU. And now, he's going to have an opportunity to step up if this is the case. If he put in different roles, we know how this defense likes to move people around and put them in different positions, obviously. So, new faces, but it's, unfortunately for Jalen, if this is it for him, we just got to rely on the people that we have there to step up and fill that role. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. But like you said, Banks, the season isn't over. We haven't started the season yet. We haven't laced them up. Yeah, it's tough schedule. But guess what? Like you said, you always say, Banks, this is football. The Falcons are not going to be the only team to deal with injuries. They're not. Everybody does it. You know, whoever wins the Super Bowl is going to deal with injuries. It's like you said, how do you bounce back from that? Where's the depth that you have to be able to recover if any of your star players go down? I mean, this is a long grind from training camp all the way to if you do get to the Super Bowl, man. So we'll see how this all works and transpires. For the fans that sky's falling, all the season's over, this, that, and the third. Like gotta get to a point where we lace them up. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are Nostradamus or you guys are psychic, we always say give us the numbers for the Powerball or the Mega Million numbers next week. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you how this is going to go with the Falcons this season because we haven't played not one game. But very unfortunate coming out of Flowery Branch about Jalen. Any other things that you're hearing about camp, Banks? I've heard of several people that went up there. Shout out our girl A-Rose. She was up there a couple of days ago. I hadn't gotten out. It's been a while since I've been up there on that hill at Flowery Branch. But anything that specifically that you're hearing out of Flowery Branch that you feel like, is pretty promising or negative, whatever the case may be, what have you heard that might not be out there, in social media we haven't heard?
Well, I've been hearing a couple of things. Like I just told you, the Braylon Trice thing. Him. First time actually showing what he can do since we drafted him a couple of years ago. That he is turning heads. Kind of intrigued with him now. That the fact. I kind of wrote him off a little bit. It's like, we're not gonna never see him play. But now that he's coming in, he's got to add, kind of a little chip on his shoulder because he's kind of like, I've been forgotten, and I don't appreciate that kind of attitude. And they say he's turning some heads around there, so I'm kind of intrigued to see what he can do. Of course, you and everybody else that's watching probably heard about Zachariah Branch. Just doing his thing is tearing our secondary apart. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, maybe I'm happy about it, but then I'm also upset about it because, damn, my secondary, what are y'all doing out there? So this rookie coming in out of UGA and he's just going out there doing the hell he want to do. Kind of makes me proud of being a Georgia fan too at the same time. But Leo, man, oh my gosh, what do we got here, man? I hope it do we got us a dog? What is going on?
I mean, listen, I think, Zachariah Branch was proof. I think that he was proven, man, coming from college. I think that, this was a legit pickup for the Falcons, man, considering that wide receiver room was very lacking over there. No disrespect to anybody over there in the wide receiver room, but, you did outside of Drake London, it was like very forgettable who you had over there, right? They brought back Alameda Zacchaeus, obviously. And then you brought him in, and this guy is, a threat from everywhere, all over the field, from what I understand. And then probably would be some doing some stuff in the return. It just depends on how much they value him in the offense. Because my thing is, we could see him in the return game, man. But if he's proven to do what he's been doing this camp, like I don't know if you sacrifice putting him out there for special teams. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But
Well,
it
I
looks
will say
like
this. I will say this for what it was been said that if someone with his caliber and his explosiveness, that you have to put him out there to return to get him more touches on the ball. That tells me a lot of things. That one, we're going to be running the ball a hell of a lot, and we're not going to be passing. And two is that okay, fine. Then guess what he's going to be doing? He's going to be returning kicks and punts. So if he's that kind of person and he's got that person, he's got to touch the ball. I have no problems with this. If you're going to return the call, listen, put put that explosive somewhere on that field. And if it means getting us to the 50-yard line every kickoff, then so be it. I don't know who the other guy was returning kicks with him. I want to say Adominus Zacchaeus. Is I'm not is was he a
Olamide
return
Zacchaeus.
was he as a return specialist?
I don't remember if he was. I don't recall when he was his time here in Atlanta. If he returned, was he a return specialist? I don't recall. Um,
Well, I think I heard he was lining up the return punts, but it was definitely Zachariah Branch out there doing it. So I'm hoping that he wins that job. Listen, I have no problems with it. If they see that he needs to be on the field, he needs to be on the field. Also Leo, I don't know if anybody else heard, that special team has also been kind of singing praises out there. That kind of warms my heart. The fact of the matter is where we came from. Our special team was butt cheeks last year. So actually, it's refreshing to hear that we may have something, trending up when it comes to that particular side of the field.
I mean, absolutely, man. I heard Nick Folk has been like, automatic. Knock on wood, man. Of course, we know
He's the
the
same age as Jesus, so I mean, hey, why
I
not?
mean, hey man, listen, I heard he was the same age as Methuselah. But it is what it is. I mean, if he kick, I don't care. If he put, we've had guys come out, Morton Anderson's the Matt Bryant's of the world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can if you keep yourself in shape, man, you can be automatic from anything, inside of 40. Hey, have at it, Haas. It's a lot better, than what we had, man. That kicker by committee that we did, the last couple of seasons, man. We need somebody that's going to be solid and is going to be, like I said, I tell people all the time, man. I mean, yeah, you got guys that can boom it from 55, 56, 57. We kicking 57-yard field goals. Obviously, there's some other problems that we need to address. But I mean, if you inside of 40 and you automatic, man, yeah, that's sign me up. Sign me up for somebody. We can get them inside of 40 that can put some points on the board. I'm all for that, man. I know everybody's, so enamored with, oh man, we got guys kicking 55 yarders. But like I said, if you constantly out there kicking 55 yarders, Banks, that's something's going on offensively that we can't get the ball any closer, or what I'm saying, try to try to at least score or get into the red zone. That'll be a whole nother conversation. Honestly.
Listen,
Another.
oh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we've been complaining about, not getting the end zone. I was just about to say that the particular situation of the Falcons not being a real red zone team, when you got an individual like Falk who are kicking booming 50 plus yard field goals, it hasn't missed but only 3 in 3 years. Now, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I may have my stats off, but I think I heard he only missed 3 in 3 years. So if that's the case, man, again, sign me up, dude. We've been played with an individual who couldn't even kick from the damn 30-yard line, okay? Who was like we had to hold our breath. We had to hold our breath on an extra point. So I mean, come on, let's be real. We Falcon fans, we forget very quickly where we came from. Anybody that's kicking 50, 55 plus yard field goals, man, I'm all for it. That gives me reassuring to know that we get to that 40-yard line, we may have an automatic kick or automatic 3 points right there. So that's refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. Another name that I've been hearing a lot out of camp, Cash Jones, another Bulldog, man, that we knew was a very versatile player at UGA, man. He's out there been, doing some special things, offensively. And, this is a guy, I think undrafted free agent, if I'm not mistaken, man, that could, probably make his bread and butter on special teams. But if you're showing that you can be a depth piece and you could be a piece that could be inserted into their offense to do different things, man. Hey, I'm all for that as well. We know he was a baller at his UGA days. I don't know, from a running back perspective, like where we are depth wise. We got Bijan, we got the other Robinson. I think Brian Robinson is his name, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, at this point, a lot of undrafted free agents, late draft picks. You're gonna make sure that you assert yourself as being viable at your position. But hey, if you want to make this roster, special teams is going to be where it's at. We've seen that time and time again. You just want to get out there on the field, be a part of this roster, because you never know when your number can be called in any other situation. We saw that on last year with Kadera Hodge, right? And how he made a name for himself, special teams, and then ended up getting some PT at wide receiver, and he did some special things for us there. So can't count guys out like Cash Jones that I think will be scrappy enough to make this roster. So a lot of stuff coming out of Flowery Branch, a lot of positive stuff. And then unfortunately, we hear the news today about Jalen. But hey, like you said, Banks, that's football, and that's going to be like that for every team here, man. So listen, we got football coming up here now, Banks, like you said, this week from now on into February. So excited about that. Falcons' first preseason is coming up. First preseason game is coming up here very quickly. If I'm not mistaken, I think is it Indy, if I'm not mistaken, because I did hear about joint practices is supposed to happen with the Colts. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, it's Indianapolis Colts with the joint practice. I think that's the one that Kevin Stefanski said that that's the game that we're not going to play our starters in because of the joint practice. We're playing scrimmage with the Colts, so we're gonna play the starters in the scrimmage, and then our whoever else in the preseason game. But that was another point that I wanted to bring up to you, that Stefanski said that the first and third game is that we're playing his starters in preseason. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Banks, you're the one that obviously this spoke to. I mean, your ears probably perked up. The last two regimes did not think highly of preseason, and they
Mm-hmm.
did,
Mm-hmm.
starters did not play
Mm-hmm.
at all, I think, for most of the preseason. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
this is just a preference of coaching, right? I mean, and I think with this being a new system, this being, new schemes, that maybe they feel like the starters need to get a little more touch and a little more out there on the field, and also it'll be interesting to see how far along or where Penix will be going into that final preseason game, and in his recovery, will he be ready and cleared to get out there for 11 on 11 and full contact drills, and to see where Tua is. Obviously, they're still talking just him and his back. Apparently, he's dealing with some back issues or whatever the case may be. I don't know at this point. We brought in Cooper Rush for insurance for whatever that's worth, people, and the other kid they got, I think Stedham, if I'm not, I can't think of
Jack
his name.
Strand. And
Strand, I'm
listen,
sorry, Jack Strand.
let me say something about that dude. Let me say something, y'all. I'm not about to do this with y'all. Jack Strand is what he is. Okay, he came in as an undrafted free agent. He came in from Mississippi, Missouri Tech, whatever he came from. Listen, we're not about to do that. We're not about to say that he's the next whoever. Okay, he's coming in. He's a camp body. He'd be lucky if he even makes the practice squad. If he three. So let's stop this. Stop it right now. Okay, we're not about to do this today. We're not doing it.
All
I'm
right,
sick
you
of
heard
hearing.
it.
I'm sick
Okay,
of hearing it.
okay, okay. You've heard it here first. You've heard it here first.
So
Banks said he's
yes,
not gonna
so
make it. Okay, all right.
we're moving on from that. So okay, so going forward, what I was about to say about the Kevin Stefanski, even though I'm not a, you know how I feel about the guy. Kevin Stefanski. But it's the first time I actually agreed with him for playing his starters, coming from the last regime when we had to sit our players, especially Michael Penix Jr., who needed reps, who needed to be on the field, and learning a new system, and you decided to bench him, and then we got what we got. So yes, I clap my hands for Stefanski on that for what he said about, yes, his players are going to play. Good for you, Stefanski. Good for you.
Hey man, I mean, okay. Hey, you agree with him so far? Hey, he may make a fan out of you just yet, Bank. So hey, we'll see how this all shakes out, man. Moving forward, man. It's a lot of stuff uh to happen between now and the beginning of the season, man. Obviously, man, it's gonna be here. It's gonna be upon us. Week 1 is gonna be upon us going up to Pittsburgh here in just a second. And we'll see what we got. We'll see what we're definitely made of, man. Moving forward here, man. A lot of other battles to watch here, man, especially in the secondary. And I think we'll talk about that here a little more as we see some of the preseason. And we'll talk a little more about the offensive line and how
You can't manifest it because you said so. Okay. Jack Strand's gonna be on the practice squad if he's lucky. And you heard it here first, and I'm saying it here. And I'm not about to sit here and keep going back and forth with folks talking about Jack Strand. Leah, where'd you go? So are you yeah, I'm
hey man,
done.
I didn't know.
I'm
I didn't
off my
know.
soapbox.
I
I'm off
didn't
my
know if you.
soapbox.
Okay, I didn't know if I needed to, let you have some more. Okay, all right, man. Listen, you can follow us everywhere on social media, man. ATL3 Style on your social media platforms, man. Subscribe and follow us on YouTube and Facebook as well, man. Appreciate everybody watching us over there on Twitch as well, man. We'll be back, man. Talk more Falcons, more Braves, more WNBA. Definitely got to get some insight on what's going on over there in Atlanta United land, because that is a hot, funky moving mess over there. So we definitely want to get some more insight as to what's going on over there with that. And so we'll definitely we'll keep you posted on the next podcast, man. Listen, we're gonna go ahead and end it.
Listen. I'm gonna say this, and we forgot about one thing. We're gonna have us our Georgia Bulldog show. Leo,
Absolutely,
I'm pretty sure. Hope
absolutely,
we got Georgia. We got college football in the air, so we got some Georgia fans out there that want to chime in with us. We're gonna be talking a lot of Bulldogs. So hey,
absolutely. College football is coming. Didn't forget about college football. It'll be coming up here on one of the podcasts. We'll definitely feature the Georgia SEC preview, and also we'll talk about the North Avenue Trade School a little bit, just a tad bit as well on
we
the
got a better
podcast. We
chance to
gotta
talk
give some
about
love,
Georgia
man.
State Panthers before we talk about that school.
We'll talk about Kennesaw State. All right, people, man. It's been another edition of the ATL 3 Style Live podcast. We appreciate everybody, man. We'll catch y'all on the next go round. All right.